Hello everybody, Hayden Klein here from HK Digital Reviews, and I am back. It's been a while. I've had to do some stuff, and personal stuff got in the way, but I am finally back. I'm here to do another video, another quick review segment of stuff I've listened to while I was away on this little bit of a recording vacation, I guess if you want to say. So yeah, I've only listened to a handful of stuff. I've heard, I have been listening to like the new Brockhampton record. I've listened to a couple times to see how I felt about that, and obviously I've also been listening to the new Tool record, which I'll talk about that hopefully later this week or sometime next week. I will be doing a full review of that on this channel, so stay tuned for that. And I guess there's not anything else to say except I have about a handful of albums, not a lot. I wish I could have given you more, but unfortunately I've been kind of stuck just listening to stuff I've already talked about and reviewed. So I kind of haven't listened to much new material. But in this list I have over here is some of the stuff I've been listening to, some of the stuff that I wrote down stuff about, and I'm here to discuss it today. So without further ado, here we go. This new Lil Durk album is actually not bad. I never heard of Lil Durk before this actually came up. I was a little bit skeptical going into this album because, unfortunately, the past history with artists using the Lil thing in their name have been pretty bad. Lil Yachty, Lil Xan, Lil Pump, artists like that haven't really brought any big excitement into the rap game, ever. I mean, if you want to count Lil Pump's Gucci Gang, but I can't stand that track. But anyways, getting on track, Lil Durk actually is showing a lot of promise here. His beat choices are actually pretty decent throughout. I also think that his auto-tune voice, unlike other artists, actually sounds pretty decent on a few of the tracks on here. There are some times where I think he is a little bit ridiculous. I do think the lyrics are a little bit bad at points or redundant. And there's sometimes when the flows just don't seem to be on the beat, which I don't know if he's just trying to act like Blueface or something, which don't ever act like Blueface. That's just a bad idea. And I don't know. I thought really for what it was actually a pretty okay project. And I'll actually be kind of keeping an eye on him in the future. But for now, this Lil Durk project, I would give it a 6 out of 10. I'm actually surprised that I enjoyed this a little bit more than I was expecting to be honest with you, this new Volbeat record over here. Because their past few records, I honestly couldn't even get through to the end. And that's because Volbeat to me is really starting to sound like a lighter version of Godsmack. Although, after the latest release from Godsmack, I have to say, Godsmack is starting to try to sound like a lighter version of Volbeat. So, and with this album, I'm actually starting to notice that even more, that the singer actually does sound more like Sully Erna than I actually thought. But I think some of the songwriting on this album is actually pretty decent. I do like how some of the songs are actually pretty enjoyable, like the opening track, which the name's blanking on me right now. So I'll probably put it in after I'm done recording this segment. But yeah, I mean, it's really not that bad of an album. It really isn't. I'm just kind of surprised at some of the good songs on here. However, there are still a lot of tracks that sound like rehashed versions of older Volbeat songs, like the track Pelvis on Fire. That sounds almost dead on exactly like the Johnny Cash cover of the track Sad Man's Tongue that they did way back, I think, Jesus, it's the early 2010s now, I believe, or maybe even late 2000s, which I like that song, but this song sounding almost exactly like it is not doing it any good whatsoever. And you will have that a few times on here, and sometimes the music just sounds bland and boring. But honestly, I expected most of the album to sound like that, and really I would say about only half the album kind of sounded like that. So I think with this new Volbeat record, I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10. I mean, yeah, it's not really that bad. It's actually pretty enjoyable in some points. And I'll probably come back to it for a couple of the tracks on here again. So I'm kind of happy with it. I mean, obviously a 5 out of 10 is not the best at all, but it's better than what I was expecting to think of this project. So I guess we'll just move on from that. Um, Listen, this album is actually fantastic. It's a pretty great record. It's kind of hard to talk about anymore because less than a month after this was released, the lead singer, the creator of this entire project, the one who does I think basically everything on this, David Berman, committed suicide, and I didn't listen to this record unfortunately until after the fact. And this project, after knowing what happened, is incredibly haunting because I mean, just look if you just look at the track listing on this thing, you can just tell immediately that this is a very disturbed and sad and depressed man. And it makes me think like we need to do more to help people who do release stuff like this. I mean, when they clearly are talking about their happiness being all gone and their depression because of other people and stuff like that, I seriously think we need to take this more seriously because he is 110% on this album giving us a humongous sign of help. Like, somebody please help me is essentially what he's saying on this project. And it's actually really sad to even listen to this afterwards, especially because it's just like, holy shit, this is some extremely depressing stuff that he's put on this record. But it's a fantastic release nonetheless. It's like a, how to describe the sound? It's a rock album, but not like, hard rock or anything like that. I guess more on the lines of like slower indie rock. I don't know. That's probably not right. I can't think of the word that I'm trying to think of. Like, I can't. What would you say? Hold on a second. I'm just do a little bit of looking up here because I can't think of the word I'm trying to say to describe what this album is. Having a little bit of a brain fart. Just a little bit of a brain fart here. Yeah, okay, so I was right. Indie rock. And it also says alt country, which makes sense. There is a little bit of a country vibe that's present on this record, but I mean, when you have song titles like All My Happiness Is Gone, Darkness and Cold, Nights That Won't Happen, I mean, come on. That right there just shows that he's on the edge of what he's about to do. And I wish that somebody, when they were listening to this album, knowing his past and stuff like that, I wish more people reached out to him. Maybe they did. And maybe he just didn't accept it. I mean, I don't know. I don't know much about David Berman except for really this album. And he was the lead singer of a band called The Silver Jews, which I guess was a pretty good band, but I personally haven't listened to it. Listened to their stuff, excuse me. But I know from this Purple Mountains project, he was a disturbed man. And listening to this album just honestly saddens me because I just feel like more could have been done to help this man out. And I don't know. But again, this is still a well-written, fantastically performed record. I am going to give this album an 8.5 out of 10, which will then make it part of the gold standard. It was a well-written album, and I think I would have still given the same score even before his death, to be honest with you. I don't think his death actually influenced my score any, but no question that this album is going to kind of weigh on me a little bit more now since he unfortunately has passed away. So that's all I gotta say about that. Yes, Blanck Mass. This was my first ever time listening to this group, or I guess just this guy. I think it's just this one person that's making all these songs, but they are an electro-industrial group. And this new record over here is a pretty fun listen, I gotta say. This is like the kind of music you listen to and like one of those, I don't know, like those really fast, intense sci-fi shooter games. I would feel like that's exactly how I feel. I feel like playing like a Halo game, honestly. And even though like the Halo music doesn't sound anything like this music on here, I still feel like I'd listen to the hell out of it just to get myself pumped up because it's heavy. It's actually a pretty heavy sounding electro-industrial. Like the bass is pretty heavy, it hits hard. One thing I do like a lot about basically all the songs on this project is that it's not crystal clear and clean like production a lot of the stuff usually is. It's a little bit rougher, gives it like an edge to it, like an edge that just makes you want to start punching things in its face. And it really creates an intensity with about all the songs on here. And I think it really helps out with the beginning of the project. I think towards the end, though, I feel like when he tries to do stuff not as intense, that rougher, edgy kind of production kind of starts to weigh down on it just a little bit. But I still enjoy listening to this thing. I've listened to it again a couple times now. It's fun. It's something that I would come back to later on. I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10, and that's all I gotta say about it. This Weatherday project, I actually enjoyed it a lot more my first listen, but after multiple listens, I started to get annoyed with one thing, and it's really the one thing that brings this album down, and that is the production. It's a little rough, and not in the rough way that adds more character to the music. It's actually a little bit difficult to kind of like it because the drums just don't seem like they're mixed that well with the guitars. The guitars are just a little bit too grainy, a little bit too just a little bit grating on the ears. Not really grating on the ears, just kind of like overpowering in a way because all you can really focus on is just how the guitars just don't seem to be as well put, and then the drums are kind of like put more in the background. But when it comes to song structure, songwriting, and really performance, the album is pretty great. The variety of songs in here is good too. You have your slower tracks, your faster tracks, your short tracks, like 2-minute long tracks. The opening track's not even 2 minutes long, and then midway through we have a track that's 13 minutes in length, which is insane compared to other songs. But then we have songs that are like 6 minutes long, 3 minutes long. It's all over the place, but it's still a pretty fun record to listen to. I just wish, my God, I just wish that production was just better. And I don't think it's even the band's fault. I think, it's a group that is not that well known necessarily, so obviously their production is probably not as good, say like a car seat headrest would be, for indie rock standards, but it's still like I can see potential here. They just need a better studio to record in or something, because the production and mixing is a little rough on this one. But even then, I would still say this record's a 7 out of 10. And I think if it was just produced a little better, I think I would have enjoyed this a lot more. But I just wish the production and the mixing was just a little bit better. This is easily the worst Brockhampton album. Simple as that. There's just no question about it. Let me just say this. Brockhampton is one of my favorite rap groups right now. I guess technically my favorite boy band, which I guess they are one. They're a bunch of guys that are singing and kind of rapping and can be kind of like the boy band-esque kind of thing, which they actually attempt a little bit more in this project. And I think honestly, when they attempt to do this, it's some of their better work. Like the track No Halo is a phenomenal song, one of my favorite Brockhampton songs at the moment, one of my favorite songs of the year at the moment. The track Sugar is another track where they kind of sound more like a boy band, and it's actually kind of pretty, it's a little bit cute, it's well made, its song structure is nice, it's written beautifully, it's a great track. But then we have other tracks on here that I don't care for, like I don't really care for the track Ginger. There's a lot of tracks in the middle and towards the end that I'm just kind of like, nah, move on from that. I don't know. Like the beats just don't seem to be there for me. Production is just okay at points. But we do have other bangers, like If You Pray Right is a great song. Boy Bye, I like that track a lot as well. But looking at the flow at this album, it just doesn't make sense. Because we have a track, okay, so we have If You Pray Right, that song is a great track. I think it's one of the best, another song from them that I think is one of the best of the year. One of my favorite bangers so far this year as well. So, they definitely still have the writing capabilities, but not only do we have that song, there's another song on this project that features the artist Slow Tie, which is a UK rapper who's starting to make some more waves over in the United States now with his music, and yeah, for good reason. I reviewed that album. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. He's definitely a very talented rapper and hip hop artist. But he's on a track here that's only a minute and a half long called Heaven Belongs to You. And it uses the same instrumental as If You Pray Right, which is not exactly a bad thing. If it was like the song before or after If You Pray Right, it would make a lot more sense. I'd be like, okay, this track does belong here. It's an interesting addition because it's before or after. But no. In between, we have the track St. Percy, which is actually a good track, but it makes no sense to be there. Why the hell is this track in between these two tracks that legitimately have the same exact beat and melody? And it makes no sense. That just doesn't make sense to me. I guess I want to be more organized, maybe. I don't know, but Heaven Belongs to You should not even exist if it's not going to be next to If You Pray Right. Whether it be a prequel to the track or the epilogue to the track. Either way, it should have been next to If You Pray Right. And I think that alone completely ruined the flow of this album for me. It just dismantled it. I couldn't even help but like focus like, why is this here? This is a glaring misstep in the entire album, in my opinion. I think it's a terrible thing that they did on this. And, it's not like normal Brockhampton albums where like most of the album I can easily listen to and adore most of the tracks. I love like the Saturation series. I loved all three of those albums. I legitimately gave the first one a 10, the second one a 9.5, and then I gave Saturation 3 a 9. So obviously the average being a 9.5 between the three albums in 1 year, mind you, in 2017, that's pretty damn good. And Iridescence, even though not a lot of people seem to like it nearly as much, and yeah, it's not as good as the Saturation series, that was still a pretty damn good album, man. I gave that like an 8.5 out of 10 as well. So, and that was like a more experimental, industrial approach to their sound. So, like, I don't know. This, though, to me, is a big step down from those four studio albums. It's still better than their debut mixtape project, All American Trash, but that wasn't hard for Brockhampton to do, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, this album isn't bad, but compared to their previous releases, this is easily their worst project. Not even close, not even remotely close, actually. I'm thinking that this album's I guess I'll give the benefit of the doubt, give it a 7 out of 10, and I'm just going to probably, though, stick more to their older stuff. I'm not seeing me returning to this album that much compared to the other stuff. Again, as an album separated from their old stuff, it's actually good. But when you compare it to like the other Brockhampton stuff, nah, this is not doing it. This is not comparing. This one's just, in my opinion, it's gonna kind of be separated from their other four studio albums that I appreciate and enjoy a lot. And that's it, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you want. I don't really give a fuck, but do if you want to. The next review, I think, is going to be the new Tool album, Fear Inoculum. I've been listening to that a lot to really make sure I have a full-on feel of how I feel about this album relating to not only to the music world, but the Tool themselves. So, I can't wait to do that. That's going to be probably a good video, fun video to record. I'm going to continue trying to check out some more new music, of course. It's just something I have to do. We got a lot of new stuff coming up, too. I mean, I'm pretty excited for the new Korn album. That's going to be coming up in September. Well, it is September now. We also have JPEG Mafia. He's gonna be here to disappoint us. I don't know how he's going to disappoint us, but apparently he's really going to be disappointed. But if any of his stuff is like that track, Jesus Forgive Me, I'm a Thought, then I don't think I'm going to be disappointed, to be honest with you. But I guess that's it. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, have a nice day.